What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Trading Learning 101. Again, this is part 2 of the weekend market recap. This video we're going to go over the stock sectors and how they performed throughout the past week. So let's jump into it. Alright, again, it's April 28th. We are heading into the last week of April and going into May. So first sector we're going to break down here is the energy sector, XLE. Let's pull up the daily real quick. You can see it's just been grinding up and up and up and up, a little bit at a time. This past week, it comes right up to the 200-day moving average here, acting as resistance, and then it just bounces right back down. It comes all the way down and even punctured the 50-day moving average here, and it closed just below the 50-day moving average. So this upcoming week for the energy sector, I possibly want to see a good bounce back up above the 50-day moving average and start working its way back up to the 200-day. You could see with the 50 or the 200-day and the 50-day how the 200-day is coming down and the 50-day is moving its way up. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then here is what happened through the week. Monday was really the only good day for energy sector. You get a nice rally up here for the day. Starts to turn down. Nice rally into the close. Tuesday it opens, sells off, rallies back up, makes a new high on the day, and then just consolidated in this range. Wednesday opens up, gets a sharp sell-off down, and you could see it just trended down as the day went on. Thursday opens up a little mixed right here. This was in a ascending wedge right there, broke up to the upside, and then sold off. And then Friday, this just got a big gap down. Sells off, jumps up, big sell down, made a new low, rebounds back up just below the VWAP right there, and forms just this rounding bottom and tries to get a strong close going into Friday. Like I said, I'm looking into going into next week with the energy sector getting a nice bounce off that 50-day moving average and moving its way back on up. Next up, we got utilities right here. And you can see we got nice support here at 57, and it's got a high up here at 59. And it's just in this range from 57 to 59. Utilities recently have been breaking out to new highs, so that's good. And here's what utilities did through the week. And all these time frames I'm looking at are just 5-minute. And what I'm seeing here at the beginning of the week is just consolidation. It's formed its bottom right here. You can see it consolidated at that bottom, ramped up, shot down, found support again in that area, nice bounce, shot up, and then started to break out to new highs, got a pullback, and look at right where it bounced at, old resistance, bounced right off of that, comes back down, and you can see again, bounces right off of that old resistance, now support, a nice double, even triple bottom right there. And then rallies up, comes back down, old resistance holding as support right there, gets in a nice tight wedge, explodes up, and consolidates for the rest of the day. Thursday, Friday, gets a nice morning push with a gap up and a morning buying. And then after that, you just get a downtrend on it. So going into Monday with the utilities sector, it's in a downtrend right now. So until it reverses from this downtrend, and even on the daily, it's going to pull back from this level. So we'll be looking for, what I'll be looking for is possibly a nice pullback down to this 57.50 level, because it bounced off of it 3 times right there. We'll see what happens. But utilities has got a nice chart and a nice range. Next up, we got the technology sector, XLK. And with the technology sector, just look at this awesome rally from session lows just all the way up. Look at that. Breaking out to all-time highs from this last area right here. Very, very nice. You can see Friday we closed with a hammer with the candlestick right there. That's a bullish signal. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with utility. Let's check out the intraday charts on this. So Monday, we get a nice grinding action here in technology. Tuesday shoots up, pulls back, just grinding up and up. Looks like Wednesday here, it was liking to consolidate in this area. Gaps up, makes a new high pre-market. Sells off, bounce, big sell off. Nice bounce up, cracks below VWAP, gets above VWAP, can't hold it, cracks below it. Next day, gaps down, sell off, rebound up. Can't really break over the open right there. Falls back down, opens acting as resistance, then reclaims the open, bounces off the open, and starts moving its way on up. It really is awesome when you break down these charts and just see how these stocks and sectors and the market moves. So with the technology sector and the index breaking out to all-time new highs, this could continue breaking out to new highs this upcoming week. The market is really, really strong right now. Really strong. And just like I said with my last video, I hear a bunch of people talking about a market melt-up. The market can do whatever it wants. You know, just ride the wave. Take it one day at a time. Next up, we got materials. Really just bouncing off this 300-day moving average right here. We can plot out a line here at 56 for possible support if the 300-day doesn't hold. But from the session lows there, this isn't a nice uptrend all the way up. Flat on a couple trend lines on that. Since this sell-off right here, it's just been making higher lows and higher highs. A real fast consolidation area right here, but it broke out of that and now it's starting to pull back down. So this area right here is looking where it could potentially bounce. Let's break down the intraday. So Monday, this thing just did nothing much, just consolidated and faded off. Tuesday, really, really nice wedge right there. And then just explodes to the upside, making a new high for the week. And that's the last time it made a new high. And from there, it just went downhill. Right there, morning sell-off, comes back up, can't even come up and test the high. And then sells down, gets in a pretty weak range right here. You can see that lower high starting to trickle down. And then it just breaks it and just a big, big drop on that. Nice bounce, trends down. Friday, nice move to the upside, consolidate, sell off, consolidate. It tried to start moving its way on up at the end of the day. It just couldn't. What I will do here though is I will plot out this high right here to see how it acts going into next week. And I'm also going to plot out the low it made right here at 56.41. Really study these sectors. Because if there's a really hot sector or a sector's just setting up for a huge move, like technology was looking, look into that sector and look at the stocks that are potentially following the sector for a great move. Next up, we got consumer staples breaking out to all-time highs on Monday at 57.20. You could see right there. And then trickles down through the week, but then Friday it looks like it had a really strong close. This is looking at a 3-year chart on consumer staples. You could see this 57 area is a big, big resistance for it. But it did just inch over to break to a new high on the year. And again, this is in a solid uptrend. Just a solid uptrend up. So we could see a pullback back down to the support area right here, or we could come back up to this resistance. Let's get into what happened during the week. Monday gets a sharp move up, sells off, nice little bounce, but then sells off the rest of the day. Tried to get a nice little strong close there on Monday. Tuesday sells off again, pops up, and just faded out. And then again, tried to close strong on Tuesday. Wednesday had follow through, having a morning push up, and then comes down. Nice rally trying to go into the close, but then it failed there at the end. Big gap down on this. Big gap down. But then it starts forming an ascending wedge. Very cool pattern right there. And as you can see, it carried over into Friday. Gets a nice push up. And then just grinds the rest of the day going into the close. Next up is consumer discretionary. Let's pull up the daily here. Breaking out to all-time new highs. Let's zoom in on this. And it's still hanging up and around the all-time highs. I'll put a line right here where the old high was. You can see it just kept breaking out to new highs, pulled back down to the old highs resistance, is now holding support, and bounces up to new highs. Gets a slight pullback. So this thing could easily keep breaking out to new highs. Consumer discretionary. And we'll even put a nice little trend line on it to see how it does throughout this week. Let's go to the intraday chart. You can see we got a nice rounding top right there on Monday. Tuesday, great just push up, and then starts to turn down, and then closes pretty strong there at the end. Then Wednesday, look at this shot up, just like that. Very strong push up, and then starts to just simply made higher highs and lower highs until it broke it right there. You could see it surge down below it, getting a little nice surge right there, and then closing pretty weak on Wednesday. And then going into Thursday, it carried over and just had this sell down, and then it rallies right back up to where it opened, holding as resistance. Consolidates right here, does fall below it. You could see it when it fell below it, it came back and acted as resistance right there, and then had a weak close. But then we get a gap up Friday, and then just sells down and makes a new low, rallies all the way back up, right back up to where this resistance was. Pulls back to where the price opened, right there. It's a really nice resistance right there. Bounces off of where it opened, still holding as resistance, pulls back, still holding as support that open, and then just finally gets through where that open price is and just grinded the rest of the way, or the rest of the day up. Very nice close on consumer. I'm really liking this 120 level as well. And again, consumer could easily keep breaking out to new highs this upcoming week. It's looking healthy. Alright, we're almost there, guys. XLI is industrial. Look at the daily here. It just can't seem to get over this breakthrough up and above 79. 79.80. It just can't get up and above that level right there. We got all-time highs here at 80.96, and you can almost draw a trend line on this connecting the lower highs. So even if you could see right here when I drew that line extending the lower highs, even if it does get through this 79, its next major resistance is going to be this 80 level. And then once it breaks through 80, next major resistance area is 81. So it's got 3 resistance areas to break through. and it does look like it's been trending up. It's finding great support right here at 77. As you can see, it was resistance right there, right there, right there, and now see all that resistance, and then it finally got above it, ran up to 79, pulls back, and that 77 area is holding as support. Whenever you're trading a stock, it's very important to look at the stock sector and see where the sector is currently at. If you're trying to buy a breakout on a stock and in the sector, the overall sector is at that resistance area, that stock's going to have a hard time breaking out to new highs. If the stock's trying to break out to new highs and it's green on the day and you see it's bouncing off this support area, that's very healthy and a good potential it could break out. You just got to put it all together. We can even draw a trend line on this connecting the lower highs. But let me know in the comments down below if this my trend line color purple is too dark for you guys. Should I change it to a lighter color for you guys? I don't know if that's hard for you guys to see. But this even had a nice ascending wedge right here. You can connect the resistance line right there, draw a nice little trend line up, and you can see it just got tighter in that and just popped out of it, holding as support, moves back up. That's awesome. So let's break this intraday down. Look at this right here. It just, Monday didn't do really too much. It trended up for a hot second, but right here is where it's getting my attention. You could see it pretty much double topped and just hung around this general area right there. It just really didn't go anywhere. It's not showing strength. And look what happened. It just got a huge gap down and sell off from 79 down to 76.50. That's a big drop. And you could kind of, when you're observing a stock like this and it's just hanging around in this area, something's going on. Either traders are unloading shares and taking their profit, or they're loading up. It's consolidating. And this got to drop down to the downside. After that big sell-off, this gets a nice little bounce right there. Let me try something here real quick. Just by adding the Fibonacci retracement on this from the high down to the low right here, this worked out really good. Look at this nice bounce from the low, comes all the way up to this 38.2 level almost, and then pulls back down just below the 23.6 level, acts as resistance, finally gets over it. 38.2, that's a really important level. That's 77.50. That's acting as major resistance on that right now. But again, it's setting up for a nice possible pop to the upside. You could see after that big bounce, this big bounce right here, and it pulls back down. It consolidated right here for a hot second, and then it just starts making higher lows. This major resistance right here, it's forming an ascending wedge. And you can see right at the end of the day there on Friday, it got a nice push right up to that resistance. So Monday, this could gap up, gap and go. So I'm bullish on XLI industrials. All right, next up we got healthcare, everybody's favorite sector. So we can see here on the daily, it's finding a lot of resistance here at 93.50, 94, 93.50. Bottoms out right here at 80.50. But you could start to see here, it is making lower highs. This was in a wedge recently. You could see that right there. It cracked through. Then it confirmed resistance and then sold off really hard. Found support right here at 85.50, 84.70. Healthcare is always a big mover. And out of the sectors, I like watching healthcare a lot. So going into this week, I'm bullish or bearish on healthcare. I think we're going to get another pullback back down to 86. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But let's see what happened through the week. We're going to go back a little bit more on this. Let's go back 10 days because I want to see this big sell-off. So we could see the resistance right up there. This sold off, trended down, just straight up in a downtrend, going down. And then the next day opened up, was in a range right there, and continued to stay in that range. Next day it gaps up, just big sell-off all day too. Look at that. And then even the next day, more panic and selling. And then the rest of the day, it just trended down and down and down and down and down. The next day, really just quick pop, and then it just continued to panic sell all the way down, making that new low. But then things started to turn around, and you could see it started to trend up. Nice morning pop right there, sell off again, profit takers, real tight consolidation and grinding, and then it gets momentum and just boom, explodes up. Starts to get toppy right here, as you can see, as it starts to slow up. We get a nice pullback down to this level, then starts to grind up, and then you can see it just puttered out at the end of the day right there. But the next day, this said otherwise. It was still strength in it, and it still grinded up and up and up and up and up. Same thing Friday. Started off choppy, as you can see right there, but then just consolidated and started to grind up a little bit right there. Let me see this one more time on the daily. It's looking weak because it's just grinding. It does get momentum when it starts to grind up. Oops. It does start to get momentum when it starts grinding up, but it's just having a hard time getting through these new highs. You can see these new highs ain't much. And then when it sells off, it's a dramatic sell-off. So I'm going to say this week it's gonna pull back. I'm bearish on the healthcare sector this upcoming week. All right, next up we got financials. Same thing here. We can go to the daily. Let me switch this real quick to the weekly to get a better picture, because the financials are just looking really choppy. Really choppy. You could draw a nice trend line on this, connecting the lower highs. It's coming up to the top of that trend line resistance right there on the weekly. Same thing on the monthly, and you could see as well, just in a very tight wedge right here coming up. Go back to the daily. I really want to, I'm going to say this is going to pull back. I really think that's what's going to happen this upcoming week. I think it's going to pull back down to this 27 level. And if it can break above 28, this has room to run to 28.50. Very financials, you just got to take it one day at a time. This thing, it's hard to call out on the financials. All you can really do is just draw your trend lines and go with it. It is in a nice uptrend channel, but it's at the top of its channel. So like I said, I'd want to see a pull. We're possibly going to see a pullback on the financials. And like I said, financials is just pretty choppy. It's always fluctuating, up and down, up and down, up and down. You could see that. Move up, down, sideways, down, up, sideways, down, up, down, up, down, up. Consolidates. Very, very choppy. Grinds up, and then starts to move up. Alright, so we'll go to the next one here. And you know what? Just to correct myself right here, I messed up on this one. This one, XLF, wasn't real estate, it's financials. And that just goes to explain why it's so just choppy, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's financials. I didn't realize it till I moved on to the next sector. So that was my bad. And then next up, and the last one we got here is real estate. Looking at the daily here, and you could see right here at the beginning of the year after this sharp downturn, just a rally all the way up. Let's zoom in on that. The past 2 weeks, this made a new high, and since making that new high, had a sell-off down to this 50-day moving average, and then starts to round itself out, as you can see right there, starting to move its way on up. This upcoming week, I would say be prepared for a potential pullback back down to form maybe a new low, higher low, and making its way back on up to the all-time highs right here. So I'm going to draw a resistance line right here at 35, and I want to see it pull back down to this level and potentially hold as support or form a higher low, because you could see it was support right there, it was resistance right there. It's in a great area right now. Now let's move to the intraday chart. Monday sells off, gets a nice close right there, as we can see. Tuesday it carries over, gets a nice little wedge right there, and then consolidation to this explosion right there. Gets a nice pullback, consolidates. Next day, Wednesday, explodes to the upside, and then it goes into this downtrend right there, forming support right there at 35.70. Finally breaks from that wedge to the upside, closes a little weak. The next day gaps down, but then it starts to rally up. And then it just trended all day Thursday. And you could just connect the higher lows and lower highs. And then it looks like Friday, it just consolidated in this range from 36 to, I'm going to say really like 35.50 before it's about to make its next move. So you see how stocks move in just these ranges, and how they love to trend and set up patterns and move in these price levels. You got a wedge there, breaks out to the upside, gaps down, trends up all day, and then the stock's tired, and then it just consolidates before its next move. But you also just got to look at multiple time frames as well. 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, 65-minute, daily, weekly, monthly, and just put it all together. But that's going to wrap it up for the sector market recap, weekly market recap. We're going into the last week of April. As I said, I hope you guys had a great trading week, and I hope you all had a great weekend and was able to study. Make sure you guys do me a favor and smash that like button for me. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and join the Trading Learning 101 community. And until next time, everyone, have that patience, have that discipline, and study, study, study. All right, later, everyone.